Hello and welcome to episode 40. Oh my goodness, the big 40, episode 40, Conversation to Connect. Let's get real talk, powered by Exceptional Connections. I'm CyndiONeill-Dady, the founder and chief connector of Exceptional Connections since 2009. At Exceptional Connections, we offer intentional and innovative solutions to boost your business. Each month, we nominate a different member of our Exceptional Connections community to have a meaningful conversation with. So be sure to make yourself comfortable with a cup of tea or a beverage of your choice and take notes, and be sure to add comments to the chat box. And we will be opening up the conversation around the 45-minute mark. I'll unmute the lines and invite our listeners to ask questions, share the ahas, epiphanies, and just enter into the thought-provoking conversation we're having here with Patrick. So just to set the tone, the inspiration of our bi-weekly conversations to connect, Let's Get Real Talks, is to create purposeful conversations. So we desire to be relevant during these challenging and uncertain times. And of course, to support our community to make an impact in the world and stay connected.
Hey, hon.
So as we get started, I invite you to set aside distractions and invest your attention to the conversation that is about to unfold. Look for just one idea, one takeaway that you can put into action so you don't cheat yourself out of the time you've invested here. Our conversation to connect this week is with the amazing Patrick Snow from Maui, Hawaii. Welcome, Patrick. You're muted, Patrick.
Thank you, Cyndi, for having me again. And you're pretty amazing and awesome yourself. And thank all of you for taking time out of your busy day to share with us today. So I'm thrilled to be here.
Awesome. Well, we're going to be talking about creating your own destiny, how to get exactly what you want out of your work and life. And so before we dive into this amazing conversation, I'm going to take just a moment to introduce Patrick Snow to those of you who don't know him. And if we can make sure everybody is muted, please, because I'm hearing some ambient noise. So I'm just going to take a second. Okay, that'd be great. Thank you. All right. Patrick Snow is an international best-selling author, professional keynote speaker, publishing, speaking, and book marketing coach. He first discovered his gift of speaking at the age of 17 while giving the pre-game speeches to his high school football team. Since then, Patrick has electrified more than 3,500 audiences on 4 continents to achieve their individual and organizational destinies. Patrick is the author of many books, including the international bestseller, Creating Your Own Destiny, which has sold upwards of 1 million copies in 5 languages and 108 countries worldwide since 2001. Wow. This book and his second book, The Affluent Entrepreneur, have both been published by John Wiley & Sons in New York and published under their imprint. Originally from Michigan, Patrick graduated from the University of Montana in 1991. He lived in the Seattle area for more than 20 years until 2013, when he achieved his lifelong dream and moved to the beautiful island of Maui, Hawaii. So thank you so much, Patrick. We're super excited to be able to have you. You know, we did a teaser the other day, right? And now it's time to roll up our sleeves and be able to really dive into the information that you've shared with us.
Well, I'm thrilled to be here, and I'm eager and excited to talk about anything and everything to do with creating your own destiny, succeeding in business, becoming an entrepreneur, becoming an affluent entrepreneur, avoiding some of those pitfalls and mistakes that I made early in business, and maybe some others have made those as well. And I think it comes down to this. It comes down to self-leadership. And I was just talking to somebody earlier today, and we got talking about that. And so many people in life, they are waiting for someone else to give them permission to go after their dreams, goals, and visions. And a term or a quote that I termed many, many years ago is that leadership is not given. Leadership is taken. And we all need to take that self-leadership role in our life, because nobody else is going to do it for you. And what we have to understand is everybody else has their own drama and trauma and challenge and adversities that they don't have time to bless our lives, to give us permission to go after our dreams, goals, and visions. So we have to do it ourselves. And I love that, quote, if it's to be, it's up to me. And so I'm thrilled to talk about that. And anything else you guys want to talk about today?
Oh my goodness, that's so beautiful. Leadership's not given, leadership is taken. And, I'm just going to segue out. I don't want to send us in a whole different direction, but we could say that about freedom right now as well.
Well, there's so many good things happening behind the scenes. And, most people have no idea that there's so much good happening behind the scenes. So much of the tyrants are being taken care of, being arrested, put away, and yet that's not on the news. So we just got to hang tight and just know that, God is in control, and America's going to win. Good will win. The good people on earth are going to win. What we have to be careful of is that I heard a quote the other day that many of the things that we've learned in our life about the going-ons of the world maybe aren't that real or that true. So I heard a quote recently that I think is going to come to the forefront, and that is that history is nothing more than a set of lies that have been agreed upon. And so think about that. History is nothing more than a set of lies that have been agreed upon. So what we need to understand when we look at all of the challenges of what's going on in the world is we can't take that energy on. Really, yes, we are of this planet, and my mentor, Michael Gross, talks to me about that, but we're not in the energy of this planet. So yes, we are an American. Yes, we are a person on population Earth, but no, it's not our circus and it's not our monkeys. And what I mean by that is we don't have to take responsibility of all of the drama and the trauma and the crookedness. And, I think I heard something the other day, this is not a left thing or a right thing or liberal or conservative. They're saying that 95% of the politicians have been bought and have been bribed and are crooked on both sides of the aisle. So as a human being and as an American, sometimes we can get burdened and overwhelmed with all of this. And we got to think, what can we do? How can we solve this? And sometimes we just got to turn it over to God and let, the universe know that it's in your hands. All we can do is choose to continue to practice self-care, choose to focus on health and wellness, choose to, pray and meditate and go after your dreams, your goals, your visions, distract you with good things in your life. I remember several months ago, I was kind of distraught about all the craziness going on in the world. And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to paint my house. And I think if I paint my house, that'll be a good distraction. And I thought that I could get my house painted in about 10 hours. Well, it took me about 5 days and about 40 hours to get the whole house painted. But in those 5 days, I felt so good because it was so therapeutic. It got me away from all the craziness of the world. And that's really what we got to do. So during these times of chaos and uncertainty, and we're not out of the woods yet, there's going to be more chaos and uncertainty coming through. But I do believe that good is winning, the evil will subside. But I do believe that we're still months away, and if not maybe a year or two away from total peace on earth again. And so during that time, that's when we can focus on creating our own destinies and loving our neighbors and expanding our network and taking that self-leadership role in our life and doing good on this planet. And if we all focus on doing good on this planet, then that collective good of all humanity will rise. So those are our challenges for today, I guess.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yes. And that's all about self-leadership, right? It's, we have to be able to claim that. And so before we jump into talking about creating your own destiny, take a moment and define what is destiny for us.
Well, if you look up destiny in the dictionary, destiny is defined as fate. If you look up fate in the dictionary, fate is defined as the supposed force that predetermines all events. So my big question to everybody is, what do you suppose that supposed force is in your lives? And some people think it's their bank account or their education or their lack thereof. Or some people think it's their low self-worth or self-esteem, or maybe they're not in a good relationship, or maybe they have a health challenge, or maybe they are not, they're too short or too tall or too wide or too thin or too this or too that. And all of those things, we have to understand that Les Brown said it best. He said, never let someone else's opinion of you determine your reality. So ultimately, the supposed force that predetermines your destiny, predetermines your fate, is your mind. And Henry Ford said it best, whether you think you're right or you're wrong. Either way, whatever you think, you're correct.
You're right.
So we control the keys to our future. We become the captain of our ship. We choose victimhood or being the victor. It's completely up to us. And that's what we have to do, is work on ourselves first, and then we can work on the world second. So we need to be the change in the world that we wish to see. And when we do that, and I posted a meme on Facebook the other day that says work in silence. And there's so many people out there that are trying to fake it until they make it, and they take, pictures in front of all these helicopters and Lear jets and sports cars, trying to pawn it off as their own, material possessions. And we just got to be humble, be kind, do our own thing. And when we do that, great things will happen. But most importantly, we got to focus on our journey. And I know this person is not on this call today, and I'm not going to mention their name, but I have a close friend of mine that is married, and she's getting ready to celebrate her 50th birthday. And her husband has been having some long-term health issues that have been going on for years and years. And her friends are asking her to go out and, celebrate on her birthday. And she's not willing to go away or going away for her weekend. Her husband's not able to attend because of his health challenges. But my answer to her, she's like, what advice can you give me? And my advice was, you got to choose to live. You got to pour from your own cup first. And her whole challenge is, she's dedicated the last 5 years of her life caring for the needs of her husband, that she has forgotten to care for her own needs. And as a result of that, I think her soul is just kind of shriveling up, and inside it's suffering. And she needs to get out there. She needs to go on this weekend trip with her girlfriends. She needs to celebrate the beauty of her and the uniqueness of what she brings to this world. Because we can't just give and give and give and give and give and give and give. Otherwise, we're going to be taken. And so we need to put the oxygen mask on us first. And when we focus on our self-care, and when we understand that we can't pour from an empty cup, then we're going to be in a better position to give to all humanity. But we got to take care of ourselves first. And that's not being selfish. That's called being a human being, being mindful of your own needs.
Oh, great reminder. So that's a wonderful segue to just set us up for how do we create our own destiny, Patrick?
Well, the first thing we got to understand is there's two roles that we play when it comes to making money. Yeah, we have the role of being a husband, a wife, a mother, father, son or a daughter, a member of our community. We have those roles. But when it comes down to choosing a career and making money, earning a living, we have two roles or two options. We can either choose to be an employee, or we can choose to be an entrepreneur. And that battle between employee and entrepreneur is one of the greatest levels of fear that people have in their entire life. And people are worried, what if my credit score is dinged? What if I can't get a car loan anymore because of that? Maybe that means you can't go into debt anymore. If you got a bad credit score, that means you can't get further into debt. Maybe that's a good thing. So what I'm asking people to do is keep your day job as long as you can, because a day job is an apprenticeship to help you sharpen your skills as a leader, as a speaker, as a coach, as an entrepreneur, as a business person. You can be mentored and be that apprentice to all those people in corporate America that you can learn from. But then meanwhile, while you have your job, there's an old saying that says you work 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. to make a living. But I want y'all to make a life. So that means you might need to work 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. or 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. on your own business so that you can make yourself a life. So I challenge all my readers and clients to take an inventory of your most marketable passions. What is it that you love more than anything else? And I'm a huge fan of the NFL, and I love fantasy football. And me and my buddies, we trash talk every year as we develop our, pick our teams, and we follow that all the way through. But I can't make money at that. I can't make money or have a career as being an NFL fan. So that's just a hobby or a passion for me that I do to enjoy, but it's not where I make money. So what we need to ask ourselves, of our hobbies and passions, which of those are most marketable and which of those have a need in the marketplace? And once you identify what needs there are in the marketplace, and then you match them up with your passions, then you're going to find yourself in a position where you can create your own business part-time on the side, in addition to your day job. Use your day job income as seed money to fund your business. And then little by little by little, over the course of your life and your career, little by little, you go more full-time into your business, and then eventually you quit your job. And in my case, I was an entrepreneur first. We talked last time of shoveling driveways and shoveling snow, selling Detroit Free Press subscriptions, mowing grass. So I got the entrepreneur bug at a very early age. And then I started working for other people, making way, way less money. And I did that working for others in my late teens and through college. And then graduated from University of Montana 22. From 22 to basically 34 was my 12-year stint in corporate America. And during that time, I was always hustling on the side, building my business. But it took me that 12 years to gain my confidence, to gather the skill set, to develop that network. And then finally, at 34 years old, I was able to quit my job because I was earning more in my business than I was in my job. So I tell people, keep your day job as long as you can. And then once your business, your most marketable hobby, your passion, is earning more than your day job, once you're debt-free from a credit card or consumer loan standpoint, and you got 1 year's worth of income saved in the bank, then you can go full-time in your business. But until then, you need both. And it's okay to have multiple streams of income. That's a really good thing. So I tell people all the time, don't quit your day job when you build your business, but don't quit your daydream while you're earning your paycheck. And if you never quit your daydream, then eventually you'll be able to go full-time. And when you do that, you're going to be able to achieve what we all want. We want more time, more money, more freedom, more health, more love, more happiness in life. And the best way to do that is to take charge of your life and build your own business. And when you do that, as Zig Ziglar says, we mentioned this before, when you help enough other people get what they want, then you get what you want. So that's what I think it means to be an entrepreneur. That's what I think it means to create your own destiny. And the way you do that is 4 steps: dream, plan, execute, and soar. Dream your dreams, goals, and visions. Ask yourself what it is that you want. Put forth a plan in place, which may mean having a day job plus your business, and then execute that plan. And the way that you execute your plan is by taking action, because action equals results. So A equals R, and if that's true, then massive action equals massive results. And when we dream, plan, and execute, you'll ultimately soar in life. And I've also learned from my mentor, Dr. Michael Gross, when you do the work of a higher power, when you do the work of God, when you love and serve and heal and inspire others, and this is not meant to be religion whatsoever, because God has no religion. Jesus was not a Christian. This has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with having a life of service. And when you serve others, your heart will create an unlimited amount of energy that will give you enough energy to pursue whatever that is. And when you do that, it's a beautiful thing. And when you serve others, God will always provide.
It is a beautiful thing. And it just reminds me of the law of contribution. That's part of our connection circle that we teach at Exceptional Connections. The law of contribution stating that the level of your success and happiness is in direct proportion to the number of people you serve selflessly, which is, really in line with the Zig Ziglar quote that is near and dear to your heart and mine as well.
Did we talk about this last week, or was that on another Zoom? And that was, I said that value is what's determining your income. And if you're not happy with your own income, it just means you're not bringing enough value to the world. Was that on this that we talked about it?
You had shared that quote with me.
And so bottom line is we need to boost our value. When we add more value to the marketplace, then the universe conspires to pay us for that value.
Right, because if we're not doing that, if we're an employee, if we're, jump out of bed, the job thing, then, we're funding somebody else's retirement and somebody else's destiny. You've said that, you said that so eloquently in our for our meeting last week.
Well, and the challenge is that as we get older, and I just turned 53 not too long ago, I still feel like I'm 35. But as we get older, there's going to be fewer and fewer and fewer and fewer jobs for us. And those jobs are going to be lower paying than what we're used to. And they're going to be evenings and weekends because nobody wants those hours. And they're going to take away from our time with our family. And at the end of the day, there's more to life than earning a paycheck and paying bills. There's way more to life. And unfortunately, a lot of people never figure that out. And the point of it is, I just want you, all of us, to figure it out. And the earlier in life that we can, the more freedom that we have. And I'm not trying to brag or share an ego in any way, but I quit my job at 34 years old. And people say, well, why do you live in Maui? My answer is because I can. And they're like, what are you talking about? Because you can. Well, I quit my job. I had my own business. I was a full-time entrepreneur from 34 until 43. So I had 9 years of entrepreneurial full-time experience. And then it hit me when my kids graduated from high school and college that I was free to live anywhere in the world. And I wanted to move here because I love the warm weather. I'm an avid cyclist. I love hiking and I like the beach. But the point of it is, I have not worked a day of my life since 34 years old, because work is, I think, something that you're doing for somebody else's vision, dream, goal. And it's a painful experience. And yeah, we can learn for it. But when you do what you love, it's not work. It's just what you do. And I can't tell you how many people that I know, my father included, that worked their entire life. At 62 or 65, they retired, started drawing on Social Security. And then he went and played golf 2,000 times and got bored of that. And then he did something else 2,000 times, got bored of that. But because he wasn't working, his soul level mission and goal had been achieved. He got bored. And at 73 years old, he pulled me aside and said, Patrick, I got to tell you something very important. I don't want your mother to hear this. He said, I've achieved every dream, every goal, every vision I've ever wanted to achieve. And I'm telling you, I do the same thing every day. I take your mother for a long walk. I play the guitar and I listen to the Tigers game on the radio or Sports Center every night. And I've been doing the same thing for 6 years and I'm bored. And I have nothing to live for. And what happens? It happens to everybody. People stop their passions and then they get bored. And then their soul remembers that heaven is way better than it is here on earth. And then they create a disease and they birth out. And it happens again and again and again and again. And you see these people that are 80 and 90 and 100 years old still making contributions to the world. They've never stopped following their passions. Jimmy Carter is still working with Habitat for Humanity in his 90s. Like, it's not a formal paycheck job, but it's his passion. And as long as you're living this life of service, you'll have all the days in the world that you need. And my dad didn't understand that, or maybe he did. He's like, well, I remember heaven is better. I'm going back. Wish me well. And that's our challenge, is that we have to accept and honor other people's souls' journeys. And when it's time for them to go, it's their time. And we can't fight and argue for them to stay. They've chosen, it's their time. So we just have to let them go. And that was so hard for me, but I see it again and again and again. So people say, well, when are you going to retire, Patrick? My answer is, I retired 19 years ago. Well, what are you talking about? You're still working? I'm not working. This isn't work. I'm just helping people, inspiring people, loving on, serving on, healing on people. That's not work. And that's what I challenge every entrepreneur to do, is find something that you love so much that you'll do it the rest of your life for free. And I remember back in 2001, as soon as I published my first book, Creating Your Own Destiny, I was on Bainbridge Island, Washington. And I got this opportunity to speak in Yakima, Washington, to Mary Kay Cosmetics. And they said, oh, but Patrick, we don't have any money, but we've got 100 women at our Mary Kay Cosmetics Thursday night meeting. And if you can get yourself to Yakima, Washington, I read your book, we would love to have you come speak and sell books. And here I had my full-time day job. And I thought to myself, I got to leave Bainbridge around 3 o'clock, and I'll check out of work early, and I'll bring my cell phone, and I'll get on a ferry boat, and then I'll drive from, 4 o'clock until 6:30 or 7 to get to Yakima. and I'll get on stage at 7:30 and I'll speak for 2 hours from 7:30 to 9:30 in front of 100 Mary Kay women. And I'm going to do this because I'm passionate about helping others. And then afterwards, we talk for like an hour, hour and a half. And now it's 11 o'clock at night and I'm starving because I realized I didn't get dinner. So then I go to Denny's to an all you can eat, buffet dinner or whatever, the all American breakfast at 11:30 because I'm starving. And then I realize I got to work the next morning. So now I get in my car in Yakima at 11:30 at night, and I got to drive 2.5 hours back to Seattle. I get to Seattle at 2:45 a.m. and the last ferry to Bainbridge left at 2:10. So now from Seattle, I got to drive around an hour down through Gig Harbor, through Tacoma, through Kitsap, back to Bainbridge Island. I get home at 4 a.m. in the morning. I get my 3 hours sleep and I wake up the next day and start my day job. And this is what I'm talking about. When you do what you love, you're going to have the energy to do it. And that first non-paid speaking engagement led to another opportunity, another. And so it's not work. And that's what we're talking about, is you do what you love. Sometimes you get paid, sometimes you don't.
Yes.
And sometimes when you do work that you don't get paid on, you get referred on and you make more than you could have made on all of the previous things.
Wow. Well, thank you for walking your talk. And, share with our listeners what your I heard you share this, and I think it's just beautiful, what your core soul goals in life are.
Well, it took me a long time to figure this out. I lost my dad when I was 47 years old. And that was a very scary time in my life because I didn't realize that I was an empath and my energy levels got so low. And I learned later that he was my father in, several past lives. I think we had 3 lives together. And I know some people don't believe in reincarnation, but it's in the Bible, in the book of Mark. It talks about John the Baptist being the reincarnation of Elijah. So as a spiritual Christian, I do believe in reincarnation. The connection that I had to him was so strong. So when he passed, I got so weak and it was so hard to function and to do this and to do that. And so I realized, wait a minute, my grandfather's passed. And so then, but there's my father, that's kind of buffering that generation. And then my father passed and someone said to me, Patrick, that means you're up next on the diving board. Like, what are you talking about? Well, once you lose your mom and dad and you become an orphan, then you are next. Like, it's your generation that next is the one that passes. And I'm like, that can't be the way it works. There's way more to life. And I think it was during those times I soul searched to figure out what is my soul level purpose and goal. And in that moment, in deep prayer and meditation, I heard that my soul level mission and goal on this earth is to love, serve, heal, and inspire all humanity. And I do that through my speaking, through my coaching, through my consulting, through my books, through these interviews, through all of this. And then I heard that as long as I spend the rest of my life doing this, I will have as much time as I need to achieve this goal, well into my 100s. And so based on that took away the fear. And I also learned from Reverend Dick Gregory that fear and God cannot occupy the same space. So it comes down to either faith or fear. In whichever one that you feed will become your reality. You are a living magnet. That energy in which you put out to the universe is attracted back into you. So if you visualize freedom and love and joy and peace and harmony and prosperity, the universe brings that to you. If you fear bankruptcy and foreclosure and divorce and loneliness and anxiety and pain, then the universe brings that to you as well. So I think that's our challenge, is all of us. Once we become an entrepreneur, then we've got the ability to achieve time, money, freedom. Once we achieve time, money, freedom, now we have the ability to look more about, okay, what's our soul level mission and goal here? And then we have that freedom, and then we can spend the rest of our lives in service to others. So I think that's what it's about. And some people achieve their soul level mission and goals early in life, and others, it takes us our whole lives over and over. But we have to respect everybody's journey no matter where they're at.
It's true. In recent years, I've realized I'm a late bloomer. It's okay. I'm where I'm supposed to be, and we all are. So I love your sharing. Fear and faith cannot coexist. It's so true. Whichever one you feed is the one that grows. So Patrick, how do we create our own vision? How do we do this?
You ask yourself this question: if money were not an issue, what is it that you would be doing? If geography was not an issue, where is it that you'd be loving? If your current relationship was not holding you back, who would it be that you attract into your life? And it's no secret, I was married for 20 years. And on a year 19, she told me that she had fallen in love with her coworker and that she wanted to spend the rest of her life with him. So as a Christian, I had to bless her, forgive her, and send her on her way. One of the most challenging things I've ever done in my life. But Mother Teresa said, you got to learn to forgive. Just forgive for 21 straight days. I woke up every day, looked myself squarely in the mirror, and I said, just for today, I choose to forgive. Just for today, I choose to forgive. I did that for 21 straight days. And then after the 22nd day, I'm like, well, this is awesome. Now I can move to Hawaii. This is awesome. I can do whatever I want. This is awesome. I don't have to punch her meal ticket anymore, right? And the point of it is that we go through these massive changes in our lives so that we are put in the ability to create our own destinies. And the way that we do that is ask those questions. If not me, then who? If not this, then what? If not now, then when? If not here, then where? I learned when my father passed that we all have an expiration date. We're all like milk. We all have an expiration date. I go to the grocery store, I pick out my almond milk, and I love almond milk because the expiration date is like 2 years into the future, right? I pick up a cow's milk and the expiration date was last Tuesday, right? I want the long expiration date. That's why I do the almond milk. But my point of it is, as human beings, we have an expiration date. So ask yourself the questions. If it were not for money, what would you do? If it were not for relationships that no longer serves you, what would you attract? If it were not for your mortgage that you live in or the lease of your apartment that you're tied and locked into, where would you live? And then you just have to follow your heart. Only those who can see the invisible can achieve the impossible. This is one of my favorite quotes from many years ago. Only those who can see the invisible can achieve the impossible. And ultimately, the key to creating your own destiny is based on visualizing that process. So how do you do it? You vision what it is that you want. And much of our lives, my boys are now 30 and 27, that we feel like we're put on earth to achieve their dreams, their goals, their visions, to help them get good grades, to help them play sports, to help them get into the college that they want to go to help them do this and that. And we live our whole lives for somebody else. But at some point, we got to wake up, look ourselves in the mirror and say, it's my time. I've been sacrificing for others my entire life. It's now time for me to create my own destiny. And there's nothing wrong with that and nothing selfish about that. Because when you do that, you're going to empower all those other people in your life for them to realize they too can be empowered to do this dream, to have this goal, to attract this relationship. That's how you do it. And it's a process, but we have to overcome fear. And I will tell you, after my father passed, I started attracting so much anxiety in my life because of the grief energy that was stuck in. And I didn't want to go here. I didn't want to go on that hike. I didn't want to go on that 65-mile bike ride that I used to take. I didn't want to go. And then I finally had to say, what's the worst thing that could happen to me? The worst thing that could happen to me is I could die on the bike ride. That's the worst thing. But the reality of it is my dad will be on the other side waiting for me. So it actually won't be that bad, And then when you put it forth that what's the worst thing? Your credit score is going to get dinged. Big deal. You won't be able to get further into debt. Well, I won't be able to buy that house if I don't have all my, ducks in a row for, my loan process to get a mortgage. Well, big deal. That may mean that you need to rent. And when you rent, you have more freedom. When I was building my house in Maui, it took a year for it to build. So I moved to San Diego and I moved into this beachside hotel and my rent was by the week in Seaside or in, where was it? It was Ocean Beach, Mission Beach, San Diego. And I paid rent by the week. And I thought to myself, I have all of the freedom in the world that I want. I've got 1 year to get back to Maui, Hawaii. to move into my house. But until then, I have my car, I have my laptop, I have my clothes. I can go anywhere in the country, week by week by week. So sometimes having a bad credit score is not a bad thing because it gives you more freedom. Being a renter is a good thing, gives you more freedom, right? So the point being is we get past our fear, and thankfully my credit score is way better now and it's all good. But I would tell you, in the early days when I made that risk, it got dinged. But I would tell you this, Benjamin Franklin said, the absolute best investment that you can ever make in your life is to empty your wallet or purse into your head. When you empty your wallet or purse into your head, it's the greatest investment that you can make because nobody can take that knowledge away from you.
Reframing your life is so important. And that's what you're sharing with us, how you can take something that maybe some people would interpret as bad or negative and just reframe it in a way that makes it empowering to you.
Well,
right?
And I didn't understand this, but I kept asking myself, why couldn't this marriage of 20 years work out? Why couldn't it work out? And the more that I learned about reincarnation and past lives, probably every one of you are in a relationship right now with somebody that you had a past life with. And there's something called karma. And when you clear that karma from that past life, maybe they served you deeply in their past life. Now in this life, you're serving them. And so now it's time to move on. And so what I realized is that the boy's mother and I, we were amicably be able to become friends. Her life has flourished and she married him and I'm thrilled. My life has flourished and I'm happy as I've ever been. And my point of it is that sometimes that, when God takes something away from you, and God is not he or she, God is just pure unconditional love, but we all say he, so I will say he for this purpose. When God takes something away from you, he's not doing that to punish you, but rather to open up your hands to receive something even better. Whether that's a better business, a better house, a better partner, a better life, a better future. But it comes down to that we have to be the one that takes that leap of faith. That we, understand that, we're not on this journey alone, that we're going to be fine. And the worst case scenario is going to happen is that you're not going to make it. But guess what? Heaven is better than earth. So actually it's a good thing. And everybody that you've ever talked to, and I've been blessed and this has helped me overcome fear in a big way. As a publishing coach, having published about 1,500 clients over the last 25 years, I've been blessed to coach about 5 different people that have had near-death experiences. Could have been a farm accident, could have been a car accident, hit by a lightning bolt. I mean, I've heard them all. And every single one of them that died left their body for 5 minutes to 30 minutes and went to heaven. And they said, God is real. And the energy was incredible. And I didn't want to go. I didn't want to come back. And they said, no, your time on earth is not done. You have more gifts to give to this planet. And all of them said they wanted to stay because heaven was 1,000 times better than earth. So then I've taken that knowledge, because I've not had an NDE, and I realized, what's the worst thing that can happen to me here? Well, I could birth out or I could pass on, big deal. And so when you look at that as the worst case scenario, which is actually the best case scenario, then it completely eliminates all fear in your life. And when you eliminate all fear in your life, you become an unstoppable force of power, fully capable of achieving your destiny. In life, in business, in family, in relationships, nothing can stop you. And that's what's holding people back from creating their own destiny is fear. Fear stands for false evidence appearing real, falsely expecting awful results, facing everything and running, right? We hear this all the time. David Joseph Schwartz says, do what you fear and your fear will disappear. And what people don't realize is their freedom is just within reach on the other side of their fears. But they've got to take that leap of faith, and they can't steal second base when they have their foot stuck on first base. You have to let go of the familiar to find something that's even better. And when you do that, Brian Tracy says, act boldly, and the universe will conspire to serve your goals, dreams, and visions. And that's what this process is all about. And I'm on a mission to help other people understand this. And I made lots of mistakes, and I've had lots of successes and many, many failures. And so I'm just like all of you on a journey to improve myself. And as I improve myself, I want to help inspire others to do the same.
Beautiful. I love that. So as we kind of wrap up here before we open up for Q&A, or just let a conversation here, share with us a little bit, Patrick, about what your recipe is to be unstoppable. You have 8 entrepreneurial business strategies that you've learned over the years. Kind of to put a bow around the background information on how you've your mindset in building your business. Share with us the things that you've learned.
Well, I termed a quote many years ago that said, think it, ink it, believe it, achieve it. And what that means is you want to think about your dreams, goals, visions, whatever it is that you want. That's step 1. Step 2 is to put it down in writing, whether it's writing a book, writing in your journal, writing your goal sheets. And you can go to patricksnow.com. You can click on free stuff, and you can download all the free goal sheets that you want. When I was in the 8th grade, my father had me fill out my first goal sheets. And about 80 to 90% of all those goal sheets I filled out over the years I've achieved. And the 10 or 20% that I failed on, it just wasn't for me. And I evolved past that. So think it first, ink it second, in the form of a journal, a diary, a book, or goal sheet. Third is believe it. It doesn't matter what other people think of you. All that matters is what you think of yourself. And if you go back and look at your lineage, you have your mother and father that believe in you, your 4 sets of grandparents that believe in you, your 8 sets of great-grandparents that believe in you, your 16 sets of great-great-grandparents believing in you. You have hundreds and thousands of angels in heaven believing for you. You have your almighty creator God that's created you and only you with your unique blueprint, your DNA, gifts and skills and talents and abilities that nobody else has. You're here for a reason. So all you got to do is listen to your higher self, listen to your soul. Your soul has done this thousands of times or in hundreds of past lives. Listen to that. Your gut, your intuition, your nudges will already tell you everything that you need to know. You just have to silence your mind and then believe in yourself. And you're the only one that matters. Does not matter what your spouse says about you. My spouse said to me, who are you to write a book? You don't have a Super Bowl ring on your finger. You don't have an Olympic gold medal hanging around your neck. What makes you think you can write a book and be a speaker? And I was like, wow, she doesn't believe in me. And then I realized for relationships to succeed, the man must believe in the woman more than the woman believes in herself. And the woman must believe in the man more than the man believes in himself. And when you have a man and a woman that are committed to helping and serving the other achieve their goals, then you have an unlimited dynamic duo. And my fiance, Amy, and I, the last 2 years, I believe that we have that because we are each serving each other in their beliefs. So the belief is it. Les Brown said, never let someone else's opinion of you determine your reality. So it does not matter what the universe says, what the world says, what your frenemies say. And your frenemies, they might be friends, but they might become frenemies because they're jealous of you. They might have the degree in creative writing. They might have wanted to be a life coach their entire life. They might want to be the entrepreneur, but darn it, you're achieving their goals. So they're going to be uncomfortable with you achieving their goals. So they're going to poo-poo on your dreams, goals, and visions. So don't even tell it with them.
Yeah.
You stand up and shout out to the world, tell the world who you are, what you stand for, what you believe in. And sooner or later, the how will present itself. And the right people will be attracted to your life for that to happen. And then once you think it, ink it, believe it, then it happens automatically. And look at everything that you have right now in your life. Everything that you have in your life right now. 10 years ago, you prayed for the things that you have right now. As a kid, the things that you have in your life right now, you never thought was possible. And 90% of the people on planet Earth that can't read, can't write, don't have drinking water, don't have flushing toilets, don't have shoes. They have rubber bands holding on pieces of cardboard on the bottom of their feet to protect their feet. When we look at it, all of us are in the top 1% or 10% of wealth on planet Earth just because we're Americans and just because we have this education of high school and college, this work experience, because we have this economy in which we can create a better life for each other. So when we look at what we're blessed with right now, we have to realize all of us have already created our own destiny. We're already there. And now that we've done it for ourselves, now we need to spend the rest of our lives helping other people do it too. We believe in ourselves. Now we got to mentor others to believe in themselves.
Yes, take it to the next generation, our children and our grandchildren and our communities. That's a beautiful message.
There's a quote about children that says the single most important thing in a child's life is the presence of at least one adult that believes in them. So my challenge to you is you be that one adult in your children's life, in your grandchildren's life, in your great-grandkids' life, in your neighbor kid's life. You believe in them. I got like 20 kids on my street that are always playing and whatever, and I'm constantly always talking to them and telling them good things about this and good things about that. And they're like, wow. So they don't have to be your parents. I'm still waiting for my big brother to be assigned to me. Like 3 years ago, I went through my FBI background check to be a approved big brother, big sister. And I'm still waiting for that little to be assigned. And I can't wait for that to happen. So they don't have to always just be our kids. They can be anybody's kids. Yes. But that's the goal. And I will tell you this. In fact, I probably shouldn't tell you this because it might be a little bit too controversial. Do you want to hear controversy?
Yep.
Thumbs up, everybody. This is conversation to connect. Let's get real. So yes.
Okay, let's get real. We know that there are a lot of people on Earth right now that are facing cancer, facing illness, facing sickness, facing disease. For whatever reason, their soul has said, okay, it's time for me to go home. There are many, many, many souls leaving this earth now more than ever. And that means that there are going to be many kids that are orphaned at a young age. It's okay for me at 53 to be orphaned. My mother is 81 years old and been struggling with dementia and Alzheimer's for 10, 11, 12 years. And even though I'm not orphaned yet, it's hard because we haven't had a really good conversation in 10 years. And she's going to pass any week, any month now, and I'm ready for that. Mm. And again, at 53, it's okay to be orphaned. But at 12, it's not. At 9, it's not. At 6 years old, it's not. And when these children and their parents, maybe they've made choices that are good or bad. Maybe they thought it was a good choice, but maybe later they learned it's a bad choice. And then what happens to them? They birth out at a young age, leaving these kids orphaned. I've been in deep prayer and deep meditation, and God has told me that one of my soul level mission and goals is to help mentor these kids, these orphan kids, and adopt them, clothe them, feed them, pay their kids college tuition. One of my mentors, S. Truett Cathy, owns Chick-fil-A, the restaurant. He adopted 13,000 children, and he put them up in homes and families, and he paid for the houses, paid families, literally to adopt these kids and paid for their colleges. And then every summer he'd send like 200 kids through college, through summer camps. So I don't know how that's going to happen, but God tells me that there's going to be a need in the future to serve these children. And I'm going to be one of many that's going to give resources, time, energy, effort, love, service to helping these kids get through their tough times of losing their parents. And so that's something that's been channeled into me recently. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know where the money's coming from, but I don't need to know the how. My mentor, Larry Olson, taught me this: when you taste, touch, feel, smell, own, and emotionalize the vision, the how slowly presents itself over time. W. Clement Stone said, when you tell enough other people what it is that you want, sooner or later, someone or something will show up in your life and help you get it. So I don't know my how, but I'm not worried about it. But I do know that's part of my soul level mission and goal, is helping these kids have an empowered life based on the trauma and drama that they may be going through now or may go through in the future with their orphanage, with their parents passing maybe earlier than they thought that would happen.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing that, Patrick. That's really beautiful. It's a beautiful vision. And, you know, I want, for one, we'll stand for that in your life to manifest and for God to be able to use you. That's beautiful that we can proclaim ourselves as vessels for good, for goodness, right?
And hopefully that wasn't too controversial. Do you think that was?
No, it was just a beautiful sharing. So thank you for that.
Great.
So looking at the time, why don't we open it up? Feel free to unmute yourself. And this is a great opportunity to take advantage of it, to have a conversation with Patrick, ask him a question, share an aha or epiphany. You know, many of you were on the line for and heard him as a spotlight speaker. And so if there's any questions from that conversation, feel free to bring them forward. So
and by the way, I don't know what your time constraints are, but I don't have anything for another like 36 minutes. So I can stay on, I can stay on as long as we have questions.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, we usually wrap up in an hour, but it's always up to the speaker. So thank you for your generosity, Patrick. So if you can just unmute yourself and raise your hand, then, and feel free to share. Tia, I see you've unmuted yourself.
I do have to pop off. I have a call I have to get on in 5 minutes, but I just wanted to thank you for the invitation. Danny mentioned it as well, and I am one of Patrick's book coaching clients. He has been such an inspiration, and everything that he just shared is exactly what I needed to hear today, because you talked more about your soul mission and goal. And it was, I thought at first, well, this is going to be more of a book coaching kind of thing, but it's not. It was the best presentation I have heard that came from you, Patrick. I am so inspired right now. I wish I could hug you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And just know I was an inspirational, I was a speaker before I was a publishing guy. And so this is the roots of who I am.
You know, we work together a lot. Patrick and I have been working together since 2019. And I can just say that we both work with Michael Gross, Dr. Michael Gross. You know, if it wasn't for Patrick, I would have never met Michael. I would have never been on this journey, this spiritual journey. So I just honor you and I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't have any questions. I'm just like, I'm blown away by what you said.
Thank you.
That's beautiful to you. Danny, you unmuted yourself.
Oh, you know what? From our meeting last week, was it a week ago, Cyndi, that we just
last Tuesday.
Well, you know, do you pronounce it Tia? How do you pronounce her first name?
Tiu.
Well, we just had our one-to-one right prior to this call. And we were on a chat and I said, well, and she mentioned you, Patrick. And I said, well, you can see him in a few minutes. Here's the link. Come on over.
Oh, wow.
Thank you for inviting her. Thanks for joining us. So anybody have any?
I wish I could stay.
No, that's okay. Thanks for joining us. Anybody else have anything they want to add in terms of what you heard that inspired you? If you have a question for Patrick, this is the time.
Well, I will.
Chuck.
Yeah, Patrick, the one thing that I really liked here was, and the thing that I'm so frustrated with people, because I'm a small business consultant, and so I run across people who, you know, really in life, they live their life as a victim. And they look for other people to solve their problems or lead the way or pave the path. And so I spent a lot of time trying to help people realize that flipping over from being a victim to, like you said, a victor is not as difficult as it appears. And it's a mindset, but it's just appalling. And I spent a lot of time volunteering, as I mentioned to you, Patrick, that I volunteer for an organization called Ventures over in Seattle. And I do business coaching for them, and we help people who have limited resources, small business owners, and the program they have there is to help people do that so that they can build options in their life, so that they can develop an independent life and they don't have to depend on the government or handouts or their hour-to-hour job that they can be laid off every week, and so they can build a future. And I'm very passionate about it. And yet I see those people and they view themselves as victors in life for the most part. And a lot of them they're immigrants and they are minorities. And you would think they would all play the victim card, but they do not. And so it's very refreshing. So that's why I can't understand people who are doing much better in life. Like you said, in the United States, we're like in the top 10% of all the world's wealth. And yet you go around and you see people that they act like, people owe them things, or, people need to lead them out of the darkness. And it's like, it's very frustrating. So.
Well, I tell you what, I share that frustration as well. And not that I want to turn this into a spirituality session, but when I discovered how real reincarnation was about 10 years ago, and I started studying it, I realized that you have old souls and you have young souls. And everybody on this call is already successful beyond their years. Everybody on this call has had, 7, 8, 9, 1,000 lives of past lives. And in each life, we learn these karmic lessons. And so everybody on this call, you could look at yourself as like graduate students, getting your PhD in life. But yet the earth is full of people that are on their 15th life, their 30th life, their 50th life. And they're learning about the karmic lesson of overcoming addiction. They're learning about, money management, about not gambling. They're learning about the basics, drug and alcohol abuse. They're learning the karmic lesson of becoming empowered. And everybody on this line, we've learned that 800 lives ago. And so it's hard when you're a PhD soul to communicate to someone who's a kindergarten soul. And so all you have to do is accept them, bless them, love on them, and honor them for their journey. Because Chuck, your mission and your soul level mission and goal, and you being an old soul, not in terms of chronological age in this lifetime, but that you've had 700, 800 lives, and they might have 10 or 20. So they're struggling with these things about, wait a minute, they want handouts from the government. And you realize the government is not there to be a handout, because you want your freedom. And it might take them 100 more lives for them to realize the importance of being free from government or being free from handouts. So we just have to accept everybody on their journey. When I run across people that are struggling with addictions, and there's a whole bunch of addictions, they might go 50 or 100 lives in a row without learning their addiction karmic lesson. And then finally they learn it, and then they'll never struggle with it ever again. So it comes down to, we're not all on the same path, but we're all there to love each other and honor everybody, no matter where they are on their soul journey. Great thought. And I share that frustration as well. So thank you for sharing.
So true. So true. So I just want to give anybody else an opportunity to share, to ask questions. And I'll just wait for you to unmute yourself, and that'll be a sign that you want to share. Victoria, are you there?
I am. I just want to thank you for sharing your gift, everything that, all the time and everything that you're putting into sharing your gift with all of us today. I really do appreciate that. Thank you.
You're most welcome, all of you. And thank you, Victoria, for your kind words.
Thank you.
So Patrick, I want to bring up something that you addressed on Tuesday, because a lot of the people that have joined us today were at that talk. So I feel like I can bring it in. You talked about the 8 entrepreneurial business strategies that you've learned over the years that have served you well.
Yeah.
And actually the last one is about writing and publishing a book, and how you mentioned that that's a platform to launch your speaking and, your business to the next level. For those of us who are thinking about, Danny and I had a brief conversation yesterday, and she talked about, how she feels like she has a book in her. And, I've felt, Chuck and I have talked about, we feel like we have books in us, but what would you recommend is the first step? Now, obviously, and we didn't mention this yet, at the end of our call, we'll talk about some freebies that you'll make available to our listeners if they didn't already take advantage of it. And one of those is a 30 to 60 minute complimentary conversation with you. But what can you share with us who are contemplating or feel like we have a book in us, we have things to say to the world, we can be a contribution, on paper? What would you say is the first step or things that we can do?
I'll give you the first 4 or 5 steps, and it'll be really quick and short. So first off, you need to understand that your book is your speech. Your speech is your book. Your book is your coaching practice. Your coaching practice is your book. Your book is your consultancy. Your consultancy is your book. Perhaps you're in real estate, so your book becomes your real estate business card. Your real estate business card is your book. And we'll just pick real estate because I just saw Victoria, it says Cook Real Estate. So I saw your name there. So Victoria is in real estate, and I don't know where area code 868 is, or 860. Where are you at, Victoria, if I can ask? Does anybody know where 860 is?
She's in North Bend.
Okay, North Bend. So let's just say East Side. There might be 500 real estate agents east of Bellevue, Kirkland, Issaquah, North Bend, 500 of them. And so how does Victoria distinguish herself from all the other real estate agents? Because she makes money when she lists homes and when buyers trust her to sell homes. So listing and sales, listing and sales, listing and sales. So if she were to have a book as a physical website, as a lead generation tool, as an attraction magnet, and it might be 21 tips to know before listing or selling your home. And it's just a basic 100-page book along those lines. And she gifted that out strategically to every one of the persons that she spoke with. Instead of doing X next year in income, she might do 2X. She might do 3X. Because without a book, we're viewed as being an amateur. With a book, we're viewed as being the authority. And every human being on planet Earth, we are already the authority that whatever we're most passionate about, but people that don't know us don't view us as the authority. So step number 1 is you write your book on whatever that subject matter is that is your entrepreneurship calling, your soul level mission and goal. That's what you write your book about. So number 2, you need to ask yourself, what are 20 lessons I want my readers to learn as a result of reading my book? What are those 18 to 24 lessons? And in Victoria's case, what are the 18 to 24 lessons about listing and prepping your home for sale, or about how to negotiate to buy, to find the right place for you? Location, 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 whatever. I got a fire hydrant in my front yard. At first, I was really bummed about my fire hydrant, but now I'm thrilled because nobody can park in front of my house. So, that's a good thing. And my home office is on the front side of it. So 20 lessons you want your readers to learn. Number 3, every one of those lessons becomes a chapter in your book. Every lesson becomes a chapter. Number 4, sequentially put those 18 to 24 lessons in the right order as if it were a success real estate book or a success, roadmap book. Number 5, 25 years ago, I spent $3,000 to learn the 3 award-winning title formulas. And the number 1 award-winning title formula is the ING rule. And the ING rule says you take a verb, add an ING to it to make it an action verb or a gerund, like boosting time management, eating healthy and wellness or whatever, balancing family and work, taking the self-leadership role in your life, transforming your future, ING action verb. So now every chapter in your book becomes this ING. So those are the first 4 steps, is to put your book outline together. And when you do that and you understand that you don't want to write a book about poetry or about, I had a guy that did a book about collecting duck decoys in Lake Superior, Michigan. And that's fine because that's a hobby and a passion for him. But I tell people, if you want to do that children's book or that poetry book, do that as a hobby, but write your main book to support your business, so that that book becomes your physical website, your lead generation tool, your attraction magnet. It becomes the world's greatest marketing secret in the history of all business. And it becomes the #1 distinguishing factor to separate you from all of those other real estate agents out there that are trying to get your listing. And that's what sets you apart. So it's literally the difference between playing varsity sport or being a pro. And there's a huge difference between the varsity athlete. And when I played varsity football, I thought everybody played in the NFL. Or, you know, when I was a kid, my dad said, no, varsity is the highest level. I'm like, no, Dad, I'm going to the NFL. I'm going. He said, you don't understand. It's like 0.00001%. So look at your varsity football as the pinnacle of your career. Lots of people play varsity sports, but almost nobody plays pro. When you're an author, you're viewed as the elite pro. And now the media starts giving you tens of millions of dollars in free publicity. So as we talked about before, you see my phone number there, 206-310-1200, 206-310-1200. Send me a text with your name and your time zone. Let me know that you heard me on with Cyndi here, and I'll gladly give you a complimentary 60-minute, consultation. And it doesn't have to be publishing. It could be on any of this stuff, because I also do, personal growth development, coaching, all of the other stuff. But I love publishing as well. But those are the steps. Book outline first. Once you have the book outline done, now you know what you're doing. Because a lot of people write a chapter and they write a chapter and they write here and right there. And they don't know where they're at. There's no organization. So that book outline is the foundation. It's the concrete pad in which to build your home from. Great question.
So you support individuals in writing books, and then tell us a little bit more about that process in working with you while we have you. This is a golden moment here. And then also the publishing piece. How does that work?
So I spent 5 years and $20,000 of my life writing and publishing this book, Creating Your Own Destiny. Let me just show you here. 5 years and 20 grand. This is my first book, 20 years, like 21, 22 years ago. I made all the mistakes. And at the end of the day, there's 100 decisions to make in the process of writing and publishing a book. Most people make 20 or 30 decisions correctly. So my goal is to serve as project manager, production coordinator, and to help my clients make 100 out of 100 decisions correctly, so that at the end of the day, you don't get this, because this is a crappy 140-page softcover book. 10 years later, I evolved this book from 140 pages in softcover to now 320 pages in hardcover, with no grammar errors, spelling errors, typos, or whatever. And then I was a self-published author for 10 years, and I sold the rights to the book to John Wiley & Sons in New York. And they butchered it, and they put this ugly puke green and yellow mustard color, and they got the Illuminati sign on my book, which really angers me. But the point of it is, it just shows you that self-publishing is the way to go. So what I do is I walk hand in hand with my clients every step of the way by serving as writing coach, publishing coach, book marketing coach, professional speaking coach, coaching coach, media training coach, branding coach, publicity coach, and anything in this information empire industry. And we do one-on-one calls every week. I do a Monday 90-minute call. So that's 2.5 hours of live time with me every week. Unlimited text, unlimited email access. I've got about 20 writing templates as to how to write a chapter, how to write and write without having copyright infringements, how to put exercise questions in the book, front page inserts, back page inserts. The title should be 5 words or less that speak to your head. The subtitle should be 10 words or less to speak to your heart. All of those things, I help with all of it. So then at the end of the day, instead of you spending 5 years and 20 grand, your book will be published in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and you might invest $9,000, $10,000, $11,000 into that book. And then I show you how to use that book. And for example, if Victoria gave away a copy of her book and she ended up getting a listing on a home on the east side on Lake, whatever, on Issaquah, what's that lake in Issaquah? Whatever that lake is called. I used to live there in Bainbridge. Is it Issaquah Lake or Lake Issaquah? What is
Lake
it?
Sammamish.
Lake Sammamish. So
Yeah.
she gets a listing for a $4 million house in Lake Sammamish, and she ends up making $272,000 in commission. So the book that she spent $10,000 on gets her a $270,000 commission, and maybe it's actually she's got to split that with the other agent. So now it's, 135 or whatever. Point being is one sale, because of the book, can pay itself off. But instead of you guys spending 5 years and 20 grand like me, as your project manager and production coordinator, will help you get done in 3, 6, 9 months. You'll make every last decision. You own 100% of the rights. You keep the profits. We use this publishing imprint out of New York. I don't know if you can see this, but it says Aviva Publishing New York. So you own the rights, you keep the profits. But then instead of having, Patrick Snow Publications or Victoria Cook Victoria Cook, Productions, you have a New York publishing imprint on the book. So my role is to help you take all the guesswork out, help you create a 250-page hardcover book that's world-class. And here's an example. Everything in New York they do is cheap, 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 cheap. So here's John Wiley and Sons, 200-year-old, $3 billion company. And look at the paper. You see how it's all yellowing, how crappy it is? Everything that they do in New York is cheap, 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 cheap. This book is 10 years old. This book is almost 20 years old. And look at the paper difference. So what I do is help you get high-end, world-class production of the book. And then I have all the writing formulas so that your content is going to be spot on, speaking to you and your, instead of I and me. And you're going to write a love letter to your reader, and they're going to hear your soul emanate throughout the entire book. And at the end of the day, you use this book as a business card and you give it away. And if you want more speaking engagements, you get more speaking engagements. If you want more coaching clients, you get more of that. If you want to list and sell more houses, you get that. I have a dentist in Boise, Idaho, who wanted to be the dentist that gives away a copy of his personal growth and development book away to every person that walks in the door, so that he could distinguish himself as being different from all the other dentists in Boise. So before we published his book, he had one office doing $3 million a year in revenue because he had like 8 or 10 dentists. Now, I think it's 10 years later, he's got 3 offices in Boise and he's doing $12 million in revenue. Went from 3 million to 12 million. And he said, I've done nothing on marketing at all, except give everybody a free book. And oh, by the way, not everybody's going to read your book. And I tell people all the time, I don't care if you read my book. I just want you to book me as your keynote speaker. I don't care if you read my book. I just like to be your coach. So many people won't read your book, but they'll still list or buy the house from you. And so really, it's a way for you to stand out in the noise of marketing on the internet as that expert. And then as a result, all kinds of great things happen. So yeah, I'd be thrilled to give any of you a complimentary consultation and show you how easy it really can be to do this process.
Yeah, I love the way you say, it really does give you credibility, whether they read it or not.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. And I always say a 250 to 300 page book that's hardcover. Like, well, nobody has time to read that, so I'm going to do a 75-page booklet. And I'm like, a 75-page booklet looks like you've never given a speech before. You look like a $500 speaker. A 250 to 300-page hardcover book looks like you're a $100,000 consultant and a $25,000 speaker. Victoria gives a 45-page booklet away to a $10 million homeowner. They're gonna be like, no, you need to go out to like somewhere way east to do those houses. This is a $10 million sale. We can't screw this up. But she puts a 250-page hardcover book down. Their jaw is gonna drop and go, oh my goodness, this is amazing. So really, it is first and foremost a business building tool for whatever business that you're in. And secondly, a book can have a shelf life of 100, 200, 300 years. So it's a way for you to also create a legacy for your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. And when I wrote my book, I said, if nothing ever happens to the book and my plane goes down somewhere, my boys will know who I am. And that's, worst case scenario. So, and the other thing is the people that you think will read your book, they're never going to read your book. The people that you don't think are going to read your book, they will read your book. So like nobody in my family's read my book, I can't believe it, but they're not into personal growth and development, so it's okay. They're not in the same frequency that I am, and not everybody is on the same journey. We're all different.
So how can we get, your book? Do you recommend us going to Amazon, going to your website? What's the best way to get a hold of your books?
Well, there's 3 books: Creating Your Own Destiny, which talks about how and why to get into business; The Affluent Entrepreneurs, how to succeed in business; and then Boy Entrepreneurs, an inspirational fable of free enterprise and self-leadership. I actually, because I sold my rights to John Wiley & Sons in New York 10 years ago, and as an author is the worst mistake I've ever made in my life. As a publishing coach, it was the best thing I've ever done, because it gave me more credentials. So I can't even sell my own books because they view me as competition. So the best place to go is, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, bookstores worldwide. But yeah, probably Amazon's the best and quickest place to get it at. But you'll get this crappy, ugly cover though. I'm sorry about that. So
We can't
And
get the
then-
original book at all
what's that?
we can't get the original book with the real paper.
You know what you can do? Who says that? Nancy Baumgartner? asked that?
Nancy.
You know what? You can see some of these on Amazon, and they're being resold. So it's a used book, but this is, there's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of these printed, but there's a much more smaller limited run of these. So if you can see this picture on Amazon, buy this, because it will last a
I
whole
took a
lot
picture.
longer.
I took a picture of you holding it up so I would know what it looks like, so I can buy that one.
Well, here's the other thing. The footprints in the sand here, those are my children's footprints on the many vacations we took to Hawaii when they were like 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. So I went from my children's footprints to the deep state cabal Illuminati symbol. I'm just devastated. And this is their book now. So what are you going to do? Lesson learned.
And what's your second book called?
The second book is The Affluent Entrepreneur. And this is also published by John Wiley & Sons. And I wasn't going to let them screw up this cover like they did the first. So this is my cover design. And that looks like a yacht in the Mediterranean on a Tuesday afternoon at 1:30. And that looks about like someone who's creating their own destiny, because they're choosing to work their passion. So that was my whole theme for this. And then I went back to self-publishing on my third book, which is Boy Entrepreneur. And that's this book here. But yeah, Amazon is
great.
probably the best place to go. And by the way, if it says that they're sold out, they will print more, because they're doing that just-in-time printing thing now.
I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question, Cyndi?
Of course, go for it.
So do you know Wright Thurston?
Do I what?
Do you know Wright Thurston?
I don't.
You don't? Because he's on the speaking circuit. Okay, very cool. I told some of the people in my business about the event last Wednesday that support me. I'm with Melaleuca, and he knew who you were, and he thought you knew Wright.
Okay, well, I will tell you, Melaleuca is one of the best networking companies on the planet. And
Yep.
for cancer and for all things cancer, I've heard all kinds of testimonials of people who have taken their tea tree products and all their fantastic things. So, Melaleuca is a great company for health and wellness. So good for you. But I would say that they're probably every day in this country, there are upwards of 10,000 people on stage speaking. And while I know many of them, I don't know all of them.
Well, he thought you knew Wright. And no worries. I've been with Melaleuca for 20 years. I love my company. But anyway, I just thought I would ask you that. I wasn't going to call you to ask you that.
No, that's good. That's good. Yeah. And you know what? The thing about speaking is I've learned early on, it's about humor plus entertainment plus inspiration. And so when I do my keynote speeches, I am very cognizant that people want to know who you are. So 50% of my stories from stage are all about the trials and tribulations that I've had. And then the other 50% of the stories that I tell as a professional speaker are about other people, some famous, some not, that have also stepped into their destiny. And one of my favorite speech topics is the Cliff Young story. And Cliff Young was a 61-year-old ultra marathoner in Australia. And he decided at 55, he was going to get back into running again. So he trained for 6 years. At 61 years old, he enters the prestigious Sydney to Melbourne ultramarathon, a distance of 545 miles. And it was believed back in those days that when you ran 8 hours a day, you needed to sleep like 10 hours every night. But Cliff didn't believe that. He had a coach and the others did not. So Cliff at 61 was way behind these 20 and 30 somethings on day one. But they went to bed and Cliff stayed up and ran all night long. So he went to bed at 11 p.m., got 2 hours sleep and woke up at 1 a.m. and ran all night long, surpassed everybody the second day. Second day they passed him. Day two went to bed at 11 p.m., woke up at 1 a.m. Again, they passed him, but it was late in the day. By day four, they couldn't find him anywhere on the course and they were laughing him, mocking him, saying that he was in a hospital somewhere, must have broke his back. But after 5 days, 15 hours, and 13 minutes, 61-year-old Cliff Young won the prestigious Sydney to Melbourne ultra marathon in first place. So I always tell people, if a 61-year-old man can win a 545-mile foot race, it's never too late for any of us to create, achieve, realize, experience our own destinies. And that's the key when you speak, is half of your time is your own stories, half about other people. And you always got to focus on you and your, you and your, you and your. And there's a 5-step professional speaking formula that I teach, which is also the 5-step writing formula that I teach. And when you apply these 5 steps to any blogs, any articles, anything that you do, people will love what your writing is. So step number 1 is ask a question or a series of questions. That's how you hook in your audience or you hook in your reader. Step number 2 is you introduce the subject matter and you define it. And you might throw a quote or two in there about that. Step number 3 is you tell the story. Step number 4, you ask the same question again a different way. Step number 5, you challenge your audience member to get out a pen and paper and jot down the answer. And that's how you get them to start taking notes on your speech. Or if they're reading the book, you challenge them to write out the answers to that question in your book. And you always want to have exercise questions in the book. And the reason why is you don't want anybody to read your book. Just like I have them here. You want people to diary your book, to journal your book, to notebook your book. And when you have people write in your book, they're going to keep this book in their handbag for months on end. And they're going to tell everybody about it. But they'll say, oh, you can't have my copy. I got my personal dirty laundry in here. You got to go out and get your own copy. But if you don't have exercise lines in your book, somebody buys it, Cyndi buys it, she lets Chuck read it, Chuck has Nancy read it, Nancy has Victoria read it. So pretty soon a year goes by, 50 people read your book, but you only made 1 sale. So these are a lot of these little strategies and things that I teach, but that's the speaking formula and it's the writing formula. It's all about asking questions. So in business, we need to ask our questions and listen our way into sales. The worst salespeople on planet Earth are constantly speaking. The best people on planet Earth are constantly listening. So we need to listen our way to success instead of speak. And so my mentor taught me, it doesn't matter what I say from stage. What matters is that I'm the first person to show up in my speech. So I will show up 1 to 2 hours, 1 to 2 hours in advance of the speech. And then I will stay and I will be the very last person that leaves that audience, maybe 1 to 2 hours after the speech. So just like today, I had a call at 1 o'clock, but because I learned of this, I bumped it back 30 minutes. And I can be a few minutes late on this if I need to. But the point of it is, I wanted to have an extra 30 minutes of time with you guys so that we can do this stuff. And that's what speakers do, is it's you giving your time to the audience, not necessarily what you say from the stage.
Yes, that's beautiful. Well, I want to honor your time because you've been so generous, not only sharing with our community on last Tuesday, but also today and the extra goodies that you shared with us this afternoon. So just in closing, I want to make sure we close with the freebies that you offer. And you had mentioned the 30 to 60 minute consultation, and you generously gave your phone number so people can text you. You also mentioned 21 mistakes to avoid when publishing and marketing your book, 12 tips to triple your income, coaching income, right? The second one. Yep. And then you had 20 professional speaker secrets. You added that bonus as well. And then all 3
ebooks.
So tell us about how the ebooks work. We can have access to those books.
I'm going to send you the PDF file of those books.
Wow, that's
so
so
you just gotta send
generous.
me an email, patrick@patricksnow.com, patrick@patricksnow.com, and I'll send all 6 of those.
What do you want us to put in the subject
Just
to,
say, please send me the freebies.
okay, or
but-
EC freebies?
ECB freebies. That sounds good. Whatever. But
EC
also-
freebies.
Yeah,
Okay.
in that email, if you want a complimentary consultation, please let me know that as well. Because sometimes I don't know, people just want the freebies or they also want a complimentary consult. And if you want the
Okay.
complimentary consult, put your phone number in. But the best way to do that is to text me, because your email may go to my spam box and I might not see it. I suspect I'll see, 80% of them, 90%. But if you want the complimentary consultation, send me a text. If you want the freebies, send me the email. And hopefully I see your email and I'll respond to all of you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Patrick. I just want to, acknowledge you for your generosity to our community, to me. Thank you so much for all your time and sharing your expertise with us. I have a feeling we're going to be working together more in the future. I just really, I've been talking to a lot of members of our community who, really your message about having a book in them has really resonated, including myself. And so perhaps we can do something, as a community, as you work with individuals, if we're all on the same page.
Sounds good. We can do a special becoming a best-selling author, Zoom for your group if you want anytime as well. Those are a lot of fun.
Okay, well, let's talk. I'll reach out to you, but thank you very much. Thanks for everybody for being on the call today. We really appreciate you. And remember to make every connection an exceptional connection. Thank you, guys.
God bless.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Patrick. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Cyndi. Thank you,
thanks for joining us.
Patrick.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Patrick. Thank you,
Thank
Cyndi.
you.